Marie Urso. I think it's a proven case we don't need the sewers, and we don't have the scientific evidence. But really, 5 commissioners hold the taxpayers hostage, and it's only certain segments of the area. To me, it's divide and conquer. That's the approach I see. As for the hardship program, in order to have someone give me money, it means that someone else had to take it from you, or you. So what benefit do we derive, especially when it's not a needed cause? Really, the commissioners are playing a shell game. I don't see it any other way. I'm sorry. And then I've heard it at least twice today. What is the meaning of global? I thought I heard the word global. Global this and global that. Did I mishear? Because I belong to America, the USA. Yes, I care about France, Italy, or Poland, but this is my home. And then you mentioned the public opportunity for a hearing. Since when have the commissioners really listened to the people? We have a hearing. You give us, oh yeah, we're going to listen to you. But do you really, really, honestly do what the people want? If you are running your, if what you're doing here, you're representing all of us, not just a few people, but all of us. If it were your own private home and you had to do what you have to do, I could understand personally if you did it in the best interest. Some of these hardship cases, maybe some of the people may have a hardship, and maybe they will meet the minimum by maybe a few dollars. You know of cases like that, especially in the medical field. So what do you do then? People do try to pay their bills. Most of us do, even if it's hard paying your bills. So you better really think long and hard in what you're doing. You're doing it for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is citizen input.
Stanley Hutt, Ackerman Avenue. Subject is sewers. I'm here to read into the record an exchange of emails between Raymond Sandrock, John Engelhardt of FDEP, and Janet Knowlton, attorney for the county. This exchange of emails transpired May 24th, 2013, starting at 8:30 a.m. to 3:51 p.m. Email 1, Sandrock to Engelhardt, 8:38 a.m. Spring Lake Sewer Project is the subject. John, the Spring Lake Sewer Project is heating up with a lot of negative feedback directed at the board. I want to get your opinion on the DEP consent order requiring Charlotte to initiate a central sewer project in Area 1, Spring Lake. We are moving this project forward with the main driving force being the consent order, a mandatory direction that is driving this project. A mandatory direction that is driving this project. As we continue through this project, it is important for me to confirm that we remain under mandatory consent order to embark on central sewering in Spring Lake area. If not, it would be extremely helpful to receive a letter rescinding the consent order. If the consent order is rescinded, then this becomes an MSBU project rather than our demanding the project. It would be a project that would focus on the will of the public. We would do community surveys and proceed forward based upon community support. In this case, community support, I believe, is not there, which would result in not moving forward with the project. The result would be to partner with the health department in forcing the failing septic systems. Please, John, if you could provide guidance on the consent order. Thanks, Ray. Raymond J. Sandrock, County Administrator. May 24th, 9:32 a.m. Englehart wrote to Ray, I'm a bit confused. Is there a consent order requiring this to take place? I thought this might be a condition of the EPA permit for the Manchester lock removal. Englehart to Ray, let me do some research and I'll talk to Tuesday when you're available. I am open most all that day. Thanks, John. The end of the day, 3:51 p.m. Englehart to Sandrock, Manchester Lock. Ray, questions concerning conditions of this permit have come up before, and our Office of General Counsel has historically found that the conditions of the permit are
Mr. Hunt,
enforceable, etc.
sorry,
It's on record.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, this is citizen input. Any subject, anyone wishing to address the board, please step forward, sign in. Again, 3 minutes. When there's 30 seconds remaining, the light will go on.
I'm not sure where he left off. I'm going to finish the rest of the email that Stan started. Questions concerning
Your name for the record?
conditions-
I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Your name for the record? I did.
Susan Hutt.
Okay, thank you.
It's a family effort today. Questions concerning conditions of this permit have come up before, and our Office of General Counsel has historically found that the conditions of the permit are not enforceable. Having said that, until such time as Condition 18 is accomplished, and the verbiage offers no deadline for accomplishment, only a definition of the project, Condition 19 requires an annual report of the status, which has not been done. Since the basis of net ecosystem benefit, NEB, Condition 18 was a water quality improvement project based on reams of studies from similar systems and not a specific study from the area to be sewered, credit was based on assumptions, not scientific evidence. If the county could document defensibly that the existing wastewater treatment methodology within the area proposed to be sewered has no impact to the receiving waters, including bacteria, nutrients, viruses, chemicals, etc., then the condition could be considered satisfied and it would offer no improvement. Thanks, John. That's from John Eigelhart. I would like to further add that we've been requesting and would like to have it on the record that we would like to have workshop meetings, pre-agenda meetings, all county commission business meetings taking place in this room with a video record. The minutes that come out from the workshop meetings and the pre-agenda meetings are a joke. If I were a secretary of an organization who put out meetings that said, we talked about item 1, item 2, item 3, which is what our meeting minutes look like, I would not have my job anymore as a secretary of that organization. If we have, by having the meetings in 106, you're leaving the citizens out of knowing what's been discussed before we come into this chamber because we don't have a video record of it. We have to request cassettes and pay for them, or audio records and pay for them in order to really follow what's going on. Many people are employed and don't have time to track through the county through all the meetings that are held time after time. So when you have citizens who are interested, make it easy for us and provide us the records that we need and the video records so that we can go back and check verbiage and see what's really been said. I don't see that it would be any great imposition to the county. You should want community involvement. It appears that maybe you don't want as much community involvement because you don't want to publicize it. Bring it out into the sunshine. This is the Sunshine State. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is, again, citizen input. Any subject, yes, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Scott Andrzejczyk again. Mr. Chairman, this is one of the things that we've discussed, and again, we're calling for Mr. Sandrock's removal from office, specifically for these emails, but also for the disaster that is known as Sunrise Waterway and Sunshine Lake. I'd like to go back again, Mr. Chairman, to these emails between Mr. Sandrock and Mr. Eigelhart. Okay? Now, this was 3 months after the interview with NBC2 News, where a lot of us are just saying he flat out lied and he was caught about the consent order. He mentions 5 times to Mr. Eigelhart he wants the consent. He wants them to say that we're under this consent order. Of course, there was no consent order. Okay, so one of the things in here that I found most interesting from Mr. Eigelhart was that he says very clearly there is no specific study of the area to be sewered, and credit was based on assumptions. How many times in this room did we have CCU staff, and commissioners, and others saying, the harbor's polluted, we have the science? There was none, okay? What's also interesting about this is that, and we have other emails regarding this, in the letter that Mr. Eigelhart sends to us, to the county, okay, he edits out the part that is in the email saying there is no science. Mr. Sandrock has him put this on a letterhead, making it look all pretty and official, and I can prove this because I have other emails between Mr. Sandrock and Mr. Eigelhart deliberately manipulating this letter to look like FDEP is 100% behind and that we have to do this. But here in Mr. Eigelhart's own letter, he says very clearly, when it's just privately between Mr. Sandrock and Mr. Eigelhart, he says very clearly, there is not a specific study from the area to be sewered. Then Mr. Sandrock manipulates a panel of experts here in front of us where you had 5.5 hours of public testimony saying you have no science. Okay? And all of them come up here and say, it's polluted, it's polluted, it's polluted. This is a manipulation and an abuse of the process that we call democracy. And yet, when we come up here, we get intimidated by this county commissioner. We have dozens of police searching our bags and trying to intimidate us into silence. Okay? So here, Mr. Sandrock, after the interview with NBC, he writes this memorandum, which all of you have seen, and he says, I'm very disturbed by the NBC2 News story as they twisted words to accomplish their message, which is not in line with the truth. Who twisted words, Mr. Sandrock? Mr. Eigelhart says very clearly, there is no consent order, there is no pollution, there is no specific study, and then you go on camera and you say these things. And that's why I ask you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Sandrock needs to be removed from office. We are liable for his actions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Okay, this is on.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is Marilyn Pizzora. I live at 3195 Elkham Boulevard, and I would like to speak on the sewers and also the hardship program. I'm glad that it finally come about. However, I've had the money to pay my taxes, but not the MSBU. Therefore, I've missed the window as far as discounts. Also, I wanted to let you know that I spoke with some neighbors, and when they came in to pay their taxes, they were told there was not going to be a hardship program for this year. So I don't know where the people that are employed in the office got the information that there wasn't going to be one for this year, so they went ahead and paid taxes. Now, for those people that already did pay their taxes and will qualify possibly for the hardship program, can they still apply? And thank you for also bringing it up that we need to do this next year earlier. I appreciate the things that you've done already. However, it's been said that you are not listening to the people. Okay, we do not want the sewers. There are many of us that have come to these meetings. A lot of people cannot because they live out of town. They don't really know. There's people that have mortgages that, they don't know that their taxes have just really went up because of the sewer project. So